Yeah, I don't even. We need a jingle. We need a jam session jingle. That's what we need. Is a jam session jingle. So we're live. All right. Hey everyone. You're here for another jam session brought to you by WebinarJam.com. I'm AJ Roberts. This is Sean. We're not Mike and Andy, as you can tell. Andy is at home resting up after his surgery, and Mike is under the weather. We've had some horrible weather out here.
Oh, it's been terrible. It's just sunny and 70. It's just rough.
We had a storm this weekend.
Yeah, that counts too. Yeah.
We had 20-foot waves in La Jolla. The surfers were beside themselves.
From the Midwest, though, we understand that that's just not even. You can't even complain about that.
I don't think Frank Kern had the right wetsuit.
No.
Anyway, Webinar Jam. So welcome everyone. Hopefully you guys are excited to be here. We're pretty excited.
Yeah, we got some. We were just talking before we started. Like the topic we're going to be discussing today, I think, is one that people don't necessarily like. They slack on, right? So they don't spend as much time on. But it's one of the, if not the most important part of it. And you put it really well when you said that when you're following up, you gotta make sure, or when not following it, but when you're starting to promote a webinar. The actual steps to get them to actually attend is a huge part of it, and we're going to dive into that today. All the steps.
We will dive in. I just got to say before we start though, those sunglasses. Every man needs a pair of sunglasses like that and a sport jacket. I think. I feel like I'm sitting next to Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. I'm in San Diego, so I had to, we had to pull the.
Hello, San Diego. Right?
So classy, right? Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, so we probably should get into some.
Let's dive right in. Yeah, absolutely.
Waffling on people. People are probably already, attendance has probably dropped.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, as we're going through this, we would love to get your feedback, obviously, to let Andy and Mike know how awesome me and Sean are. Maybe we can just replace them.
Yeah, I don't.
We'll have like a bobblehead, but
slowly but surely, right?
Right. But blow us up on Facebook. Go to the Marketing Genesis Facebook page. If you don't like Sean's jacket, if you do, let's have a vote on Sean's
jacket or no jacket.
Yeah, go to Sean's page on Facebook and vote whether you like the glasses. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's going for San Diego newscaster. So see if I pull that off.
Cool. So, like Sean said, what we're going to be talking about today, before we get into live Q&A, and if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat as we're going here. Our main man Dave is over there. He's going to be feeding us questions, and we'll get to those once we go through the content, as many as we can, and we'll try to get all of them done. But we do have to go home at some point.
Never. We'll stay till 1 a.m.
I know, till 1 a.m. We'll do it one of those 24 hours, like Jason Moffat did that one time.
Absolutely.
All right. So, as Sean said, this is one of the most important parts when creating a webinar. And WebinarJam makes this whole process very simple. But the real science of holding a webinar is not necessarily the actual webinar, but it's really getting the people to show up for the webinar. So we're creating this amazing experience, this amazing live event, and that's the first thing we have to always remember: is this is a live event. This is something they show up to. So this is why it converts so well. But we have to get them to show up. Obviously, when we have a sales page or a squeeze page with a thank you page, everyone sees our offer pretty much immediately. And as we know, typically they convert at a much lower percentage than the live webinar. The question is, does everyone who opt in for the live webinar show up? And the answer is typically no. Right. But you see a vast difference in attendance across the board from expert to expert. Some get as high as 80% attendance. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to do is we want to share with you what we know, the tricks, the secrets, or whatever, in order so that you can put that into play using WebinarJam and basically get the highest attendance. The higher the attendance, the bigger the conversions are going to be, the more conversions there's going to be because there's going to be more people. So,
well, if you think about it too, before we dive into exactly, we got to stress why you brought out a really good point that getting them to show up, it is one of the toughest things. I mean, you have to follow up. But think about it too. If you're paying for traffic, right? If you're marketing your webinar registration on Facebook, you may be paying as much as $1 a lead, right? So $1 an opt-in. If you're paying $1 an opt-in, let's say you spend $500, right? Let's do a little math. So 500 opt-ins registrants, right? If you get 500 people registered but only 50% show up, you left $250 on the table, basically, of leads that you've paid for. So how can you bridge that gap? Because 50% should show up if you're not even really trying. You just send them 1 or 2 reminders. But how can we close the gap on that last 50%, that other bit of traffic that you've paid a lot of money for? And so we're going to walk through, things we do here, other experts do, as you said, and really the important strategies that obviously the software like WebinarJam make it really easy to set this up. But if you don't set it up, then it doesn't work, right?
And of course, the good thing with WebinarJam is it automatically records your webinar for you. But see, the problem with that is a recording of a webinar is not the live event. And so even though it is effective, if you have a live Q&A at the end, for example, then you lose some of the power of that live Q&A because it's no longer live. They're just listening to the replay. The other thing is there's no urgency. Obviously, if there's someone who's not willing to show up or forgot about it, and then they're trying to fit in a replay, they may pause it, they may come back to it, knowing that it's not live and knowing that they're able to do that. So that really is point number 1, is when you're creating your webinars, is to decide whether you do want to offer the replay or not. Even though we do have the recording automatically through WebinarJam, if we're offering the recording, then it does give people an excuse not to show up. So you can say that you may be sharing the recording, or you could say that you don't intend to share the recording. Many experts do that, and they simply just hold another webinar in order to satisfy people who can't show up necessarily at that time, because there will always be a time conflict. So that would be the first thing really is deciding whether you do want to offer a recording or not, and then stating clearly what you are going to do in the email follow-up sequence. So if you're not offering a recording, highlight that. Say, although this will be recorded, I do not plan to share it. Okay, and I'll be removing it from my YouTube account immediately. Therefore, you won't be able to watch it. So you need to show up in order to consume this content. And of course, you need to justify that. If you're not going to show the recording, you need to explain why. Maybe it's the nature of the content. Maybe it's the fact that you want to reward people for being serious and showing up. And so it's only fair to those people who are willing to take their time and invest it in learning. It's only fair to them that you don't share it necessarily with their competitors who couldn't be bothered to show up live. So that's really what I would say.
Yeah, so that's step 1, right? So literally deciding, and if you are going to show a replay, you don't even necessarily need, let's say you are going to show a replay. I don't even know if you necessarily need to bring it up at the beginning. So if you're not going to have a replay, then definitely bring it up. No replay, better show up on time. But if you are going to send out a replay, you don't necessarily need to say in the sales copy for getting people to opt in, oh, there will be a replay. You can just leave that out. And then, fortunately, guys, we are having a replay, after the fact. But that's something, you don't really want to give them an excuse not to show up because, as you said, live webinars almost always convert better, and because there's just that magic interaction when you have Q&A and things like that. So what would you say the next step? Like, you decided that, you set up the time, the registration. Like, right after you send them to this registration form, what's the next step? So
we have to resell them on the webinar. Obviously, they saw on the opt-in page some bullet points, hopefully. Maybe, depending on what opt-in page you've used, you may just have a simple headline with a big promise. We always want to resell them. We do the same thing when someone purchases something, for buyer remorse, so people don't instantly refund. We'll resell them and basically explain to them why it's so important that they're on that webinar, what they're going to get out of it. All right, there needs to be a clear message to them so they know by investing their time at the end of it, they're going to get something from the webinar. If we're just setting them up, or they feel like we're setting them up for a sale, and at the end we're just simply going to pitch them, then they're not going to want to show up. They need to know that they're going to learn something, and they're going to be able to apply something. And so this is why it's important that, and we believe here at Marketing Genesis that content, teaching, selling through teaching is very powerful. And so when we're teaching, we need to be clear and concise, and we need to make sure they understand exactly what it is they're going to get out of the webinar, and that they can instantly apply into their business in order to move forward. And so, you got to know that. And so there may be a video. You may have a video instantly that explains it, or you may have a video that you send them to after with a follow-up email, and it's typically called a pre-indoctrination video. And basically, that video explains the opportunity of the webinar, what it is the webinar is going to reveal.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point. That the thank you page, really, you're thanking them for registering, right? So the page right after they register, you can do a couple things here. And you brought up a really good one with the video. Say, hey, thanks for registering. I definitely appreciate you signing up. And what you need to do now is make sure you mark your calendar. You want to set that time aside and really give them the ability to take an action right afterwards. And you can send that in an email as well, because some people won't stay on that thank you page.
Yeah. So. And a couple of things we've seen recently on those thank you pages is the ability to get involved with the community. So if you have a Facebook group that is based around maybe the topic of the webinar, you can invite people into that and create kind of a community before the webinar. And that way, if people have questions, and they can ask those questions in that group, and then you can answer them on the webinar, or you can invite them to obviously ask those live. But when we create, like Sean said, we create action before the webinar where they actually take some steps, there's that feeling of achievement, and that feeling of achievement connects them with you and makes them want to continue that relationship. So there's so many different things we can do in order to do that. Even as simple as liking a Facebook page, asking their biggest question. Some people like to run surveys on the thank you page to get to know their customers better, and also data collection so they can discover what they need to provide better. So we have all these things that we can do.
Well, and something too that recently we've seen a few marketers start to implement is actually putting a worksheet on the thank you. So hey, they say download the worksheet, fill out, bring this to the webinar. We're going to be going over it in the webinar. So that's another effective way to, because once they've filled out that worksheet, they want to know what their responses, what if their responses match what you are saying. So that's another opportunity there. So we've sent them to or we've decided if we're going to do a replay or not. We've sent them to the registration page. They've opted in. They got a thank you, thank you video, a thank you email. Send them to a Facebook group. What's the next step? Because maybe this is a week out, 2 weeks out. What do we do in the time before the webinar?
Yeah. So WebinarJam automatically will send reminders for you out, and you can edit those, you can change them, you can choose not to send them to send them. But the other benefit of WebinarJam is we can integrate it with our very own autoresponders. So it hooks up to the various different autoresponder systems and email marketing systems that are out there. And so you have the ability to create your own soap opera follow-up series. And so you can basically through email build that desire. You can tease the webinar. You can tell stories that lead into the webinar. You could tell case studies, for example, of people who you've worked with, or people, testimonials of the webinar, people who listened. If you've already held it once before, or you've held any type of webinar before, and people have given you feedback, you can use that in the pre-event material. The other thing, like I said, is that pre-indoctrination video, and I think that we've seen that working for a lot of the experts out there. It's very powerful. It gives you an opportunity to train before the training and really break down what it is you're sharing and why it's so important. And so this isn't the solution. This is the opportunity or the problem, and the webinar is the solution. Okay, and anytime we can shine a big light on the problem, all right, or we can stick a knife in and twist it.
Well, maybe put just a little rubbing alcohol on it. I don't know about the knife, but maybe no.
Sean's a nice guy.
Yeah, no, the knife works too, for sure.
Sean's more of a chlorophyll.
Drag him in.
Right. So anytime that we can basically expose the gap or highlight the fear that they may be in or the pain they may be in, and we can show them that the webinar is going to be the light, it's going to be the solution, it's going to be the answer, then it's going to create even bigger desire. And that's what we're trying to do here. It's exactly the same as when you run a pre-launch for a pre-launch, for a product launch. We have a series of videos that we go through that builds that desire, it builds the buzz.
And so you're selling the show up.
Yeah, right? And it is a show. That's what's the beauty of the live webinar is a show and event. Anything can happen. You are in control of it. You can offer anything you want. You can throw stuff out there. You can have prizes. You can have all this stuff. And the more you build that up, the more excitement you build around that, the more likely they're actually going to put it in their planner. They're actually going to not schedule anything else, and they're going to show up and they're going to listen. They're going to be excited to listen too, and that's what we want. We want people excited to be there with you. We don't want people just checking it out to see what's going on. We want people there, ready, eager to learn, pen and paper in hand, and they're sitting on every word of yours, waiting for you to give them what they're looking for.
So how do you, what's too much or too little in this time period? Let's say it's a week before the webinar. I mean, is it 2 emails a day? Is it 1 every other day? There's probably no real specific answer to that, but I think there's a balance you got to strike. I mean, what do you think is the right amount there?
Right, so
follow up.
I think you can get away with 2 videos before the webinar, and at least 1, 2 would be my preference. Anything more than that, and you're kind of going to overwhelm them, and maybe they get too much out of those videos. You have to remember that we actually have to save the content for the webinar.
So you're opening loops in these.
Right.
Don't forget to show, come because we're going to talk about X, Y, Z, and here's the real problem we're going to solve.
Yeah.
Basically.
And you may even create interaction with them through that email. You may ask them a question and ask them to respond to you. So make sure that the email goes somewhere that you're going to see it.
Or ask them to comment on your Facebook page,
exactly.
or write the question down and bring it to the webinar or something like that.
Exactly. So we create that pre-interaction. Then in terms of the emails, obviously we're going to want to send the email to everyone who registers. And then we're going to want to send it again to anyone who hasn't opened it. And then the last thing, obviously, if anyone who hasn't clicked, the second time I'd send it to anyone who hasn't clicked it and opened it. And then the last time just to anyone who hasn't opened it. Because that way we've pretty much gone through everyone. And at that point, you're just based on your numbers on who's actually opened and clicked and watched the video. And if you're using Whister or Easy Video Suite or any of the software that allows you to see how long people have watched the video for, you'll get a good idea on how many people are going to actually show up. If 50% haven't even opened the email, there's a good chance that 50% is not going to show up. So you can get a good idea on your numbers beforehand, and if we are doing advertising like you mentioned earlier, we can decide whether 3 days out, whether we need to bump our budget up. And that's the funny thing with webinars, getting traffic to webinars. We'll save that for another training, but in the simplest of form is we can fill a webinar in 1 to 2 days if we set the budget high enough on Facebook,
right?
If we're running Facebook traffic. So, and as you know, right now, that's probably the cheapest form of traffic. But like you said, $1 a lead, you said it like it was expensive, but I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I remember paying $7, $8 on Google a lead. Then Facebook came around, and it was beautiful. We were getting penny clicks, and of course now it's creeping up. Everyone is doing Facebook, loving Facebook. But
it's so targeted, it's so worth it. I mean, we could talk for hours on that, which we will someday, I'm sure.
Exactly. So the point is, we can fill webinars, we can get registrations. Do we get them to show up? And so, like I said, 2 videos beforehand, and then the emails to make them to watch them. We can go 3 times if they don't open, and obviously we can just simply change the subject line the second time to done opens, and then the last time we want to try a new twist, new headline, new body copy for people who haven't clicked. The other way to do it would be without video. Some people don't want to do face-to-cam videos. They don't necessarily have the time to create a series of PowerPoint presentations, and so you may just do a series, an email series, and I would probably go with that 4 emails before, 3 to 4 emails before, where it's just basically each email builds up for the next email, and of course at the same time builds up for the webinar. And you could probably get away with, if you're only promoting the webinar for 4 to 5 days, you probably get away with 2 at minimum, 3, 4 maximum.
And you brought out a really cool tactic that I think in emails works really well when you're trying to picture a pain point. And that's really sharing a story of some of the pain that you experienced on that subject. So if you're selling a product on stage fright on video, you could say, wow, when I got started on video, I was petrified, right? And here was one of my experiences. I got on camera and my pants fell down. Something like that. You're sharing a very intimate story with them, and this can attract them to what they feel more connected with you. So, yeah. But why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look real quick at some of the registration features in WebinarJam, with the follow-up.
Let's just pull it up and let's go into the system. We'll switch over to that. And Sean, why don't we go back?
Zoom in.
Zoom in.
All right.
And Dave's saying zoom in, and we're going to show you guys this. So you guys should just be seeing this. Sean's going to walk you through. Go back to the registration page,
okay,
and just walk them through. It's just setting this up really quick.
Yeah. So,
and then we'll talk about that.
So here's the beautiful thing about WebinarJam, and we did this the other night. I literally had never set up a WebinarJam before, and I spent 10 minutes on the air actually walking through how to set one of these up. But I tell you what, let's do this real quick. I'm actually going to just set this up. We'll just call it my awesome webinar. And if you were on the other night, you know how simple this can be. But for all the new folks, let's just walk through this. Literally, in 15 minutes, you could have a full webinar set up. But so the webinar name is something you see. So maybe you're just putting in there, with Mike and Andy. But the webinar title that people see, you'd put down here. So you can have a different description. And then we can go in here in the description itself. And this is also what people see. So you might want to say something like, be sure to join us for a special webinar. All right. And then if you are doing it right at the moment, obviously you can schedule it for right now. If you want to schedule it for later, this is an important step. You're picking your date and time. And just a fun side note, actually, if you are familiar with the best dates and times for emails, webinar is actually one of the most effective times is on Thursdays at 11 o'clock in the morning on Pacific time, because that grabs, I'm not going to, here, I'll just do this. Because at 11 o'clock, people either on the Pacific or on the East Coast, they're going to be able to attend that whether they're at work or not, especially if it's for business, they'll be able to zoom in. So you want to actually add in your name here and your Gmail, Sean at Marketing Genesis. And important side note, you actually don't necessarily, it has to be a Google account, but you don't necessarily have to have had a Hangout before on the account, but it does need to be Gmail or Gmail associated. Ours runs through Google Apps, so that'll work. So you just save this module here, and that's how simple it is to literally just set up your webinar. All right, so it's saved, and this is a really cool thing. And as a designer myself, like one of the biggest headaches with GoToWebinar, their registration pages were just ugly, just to be frank. So if you've seen those before, they're white and yeah. But we've put a lot of cool designs in here. But you can also integrate this right in with your own website. So you could literally just grab the code and place it on a page on your site if you wanted them to. Or if you wanted to.
And that's a custom page that they can control in
terms
of the layout.
Right.
Just all that they're really doing is inserting the opt-in code, correct?
Yeah.
So just like the beauty of that is that a lot of times if you've been hosting webinars for a while, you probably have a preference on your page. Now, if you're new to webinars, I would use one of our proven, tested pages. And these are pages that you guys have used over the years, both with Andy and Mike. As you know, the team came together. Mike had his team, Andy had his team. They came together, and so these are the best pages combined between the two businesses. Sean has done a lot over the years as well, and so these are the best you're going to find in terms of conversions that have actually been used by the top marketers in the world. This isn't a bunch of people who may be new to the game and they just saying these are our best. These are the guys at top in the world that have sent hundreds of thousands of people to register for these things. Typically get over 1,000 people. That was one of the beauty things they designed this for, was, as we've mentioned many times, you get more than 1,000 people register. Most webinar software doesn't allow that. GoToMeeting, which is the popular one, you got to host the second webinar if you're lucky, if it doesn't crash a thing. Because of this, we can have unlimited, absolutely unlimited. There is no limit. I mean,
if you make it crash, then you're doing some awesome.
Yeah, you're basically
you're getting 50 million people plus.
If you make Google or YouTube crash, then
we need to talk.
Yeah, you and my friend are hired. You and my friend are hired.
Absolutely.
So back to the designs. Not only do we have the proven designs in there, which makes this so easy for you guys to set up. You just go here, put in your headline, your subheadline, your bullets right where we have it. Leave everything else the same, and you're good to go. Or you can customize it if that's your preference. If you're an advanced, even if you're not advanced, if you know what you want the page to look like, you can pay someone else to do it. You can do it yourself. But we have that ability where you can use custom code, which you don't see with too many, lead page, squeeze page, template type sites. So another great feature here. But I'll let you carry on.
Sure, absolutely. And so you also have the ability, obviously, to do a pay for register, and this is something that's really useful if you're selling your live content. That is actually that you're charging for. So it's really easy. All you do is you select how much you want your payment to be, put your checkout in here, and you're good to go. So we're obviously going to do a free one here, and this is where the magic happens here in the notifications area. And this is what we've been talking about, is really diving into what do you do to get people to show up to your webinar, because you spent a lot of time and energy, a lot of money a lot of times for advertising to get them to register. Now how do you get them to show up? So this is a great tool that is built in with WebinarJam for notifications, so we can activate email reminders, and you can do multiple ones here. And you can use our email server, or you can use your own SMTP email server, which is usually recommended. It's not too terribly complex to set up if you understand what the letters SMTP stand for, but if you don't, you can use our built-in system. And here is what we've been talking about here. The different emails that you send out as after they register. So a welcome email is generally the first thing you're going to want to send, which this is immediately upon registration. Give them congratulations for registering, good job, here's the dates and times, a little reminder. Maybe link them to the thank you page again here, because after they register, it'll go to a new page, but just in case they close that page, you can say, hey, and I have a quick message for you here. And you can put the link to the thank you page there, and then obviously any of the other message. The main point here, as AJ put really well, is just touching on the pain points that are going to be solved by the webinar. And if you can present the problem in a way that people can relate with, you're going to do a very high value webinar with these people as you bring them in. So
right, and
yeah.
We mentioned you can do this inside WebinarJam, or you can use your own autoresponders. So you have the ability to do either or. So even if you don't have your own email autoresponder system at the current time, which you all should have, but if you don't, you have the ability here to run it through our system. And look at that button right there, beautiful. So you have the ability to do this stuff and make it look good. And you can do all the things we mentioned earlier right here inside the platform as well. So it's great.
Well, and as someone who's done a lot of webinar setup with GoToWebinar, the biggest pain for me was basically if we had a webinar that we had to get together quick and get things going, having to set everything up in the autoresponder is okay, but it takes a decent amount of time. And if you don't have that time, you need to get something out, this is a great way to go live quick. So you can send out a welcome email. We've got a starting soon email that is, as we've discussed, just keeping them in the loop of when they need to show up. So this is literally, it'll shortly before the webinar, so 5-10 minutes before, last call, webinar is about to start. So that's a very important email to send if someone's literally just walking into their office. This may be you may get a few more folks to show up there, and then you can do a couple more pre-webinar email notifications here. You can just you can send this, say, 24 hours before. Tomorrow this time, be at your computer. And then, as AJ discussed, we can put in, more copy about the benefits they're going to get out of the webinar and also the pain points that it's going to solve. So WebinarJam gives you the ability to queue up as many of these as you need to. You could do one 36 hours before. You can queue up another one. Do it 48 hours before. You get the picture. It's a pretty fantastic way, especially if email autoresponder is kind of a new thing to you. This kind of takes out the extra tool that takes a little more time to set up, but you definitely want, if you're going to spend any amount of time collecting emails and stuff, you want to obviously collect those emails into your autoresponder.
Exactly. So. And here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Email follow-up is one method to get them to show up. Mm-hmm. So we mentioned doing emails to videos, but there's a few other tricks that we can do in order to get them to show up as well. So one of the things we can do is retargeting, and I actually, when I presented at the Underground Online Seminar the other week, I had kind of an epiphany while I was presenting about the future, because I'm not sure how long email marketing is going to be relevant as we move forward. I remember, like direct mail, you used to get so much direct mail, and then it basically stopped, and now when you get direct mail, it's like the odd thing. Mm-hmm. Well, email was the same way. You didn't get email. Everyone, when they had their AOL account, you got so excited. You got mail, yeah! And then all of a sudden, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you've got mails, and you start to tune it out. We're going through that still. People are getting more and more email. Yes, it is still, in my opinion, one of the most effective ways. But as we move forward and we look towards what's coming, the truth is, will email marketing be strong in the future? And I'm not sure it will be. However, with new technology like retargeting, which if you don't know what retargeting is, it's one of the greatest things ever.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
You basically can stalk, right, and follow your prospects, customers, anyone you choose to around the internet if they visited your site. It works on just dropping a pixel, tracking pixel, right?
Right. And I mean, Facebook actually recently, I'm sure you know this, they made it a native built-in with their Facebook ads, which for me was a great thing because the other platforms were a little complex and took a lot of time to set up. This, literally, you grab a bit of code, put it on your website, and you can just trance around the Facebook with them. Yeah. Literally, I did a test the other day because I wanted to see how how this worked. And I placed a retargeting pixel on a website, and literally every single page I went to on Facebook, my ad was there, looking at me in the face, and it said, I made the ad say, "I'm watching you." So it is a really cool tool, and I recommend putting that in your notes as something to look into. It's fairly new, but the third-party platforms have been around for a while, but built into Facebook natively is fairly new. But here's something too people are doing with webinars. Literally an hour or two before, they're turning on their retargeting campaign. They'll start it beforehand, get it approved, get the pixel on the page, and then they'll hit 1 hour before, they'll turn it on and they'll say your webinar is starting soon. And it's just, you've got to look at these other platforms because email is kind of a pain point for people. I don't love checking my email. I usually am like, okay. And if you can get in front of people more and more in places that they want to be, it's a very effective way to build a relationship.
Yeah, email has become crowded, and not only has it been crowded, it creates overwhelm because now they have to decipher between what's important and what's not important, and then they have to take an action. Mm-hmm. So going into the email is a commitment in order to take action on the emails. And so if, like me and many other people, you only check your email a couple of times a day in order to not become overwhelmed or get distracted from what you're supposed to be doing, then they may miss the message.
Yeah.
They may not open their email at the time that you sent the message. There may be a long distance. It may get buried. The reminders, they may get it after the fact. Oh man, I meant to be on that. I totally forgot my, I wasn't in front of my computer. My Google Calendar's not synced to my iPhone, and they didn't get the reminder. But I can guarantee you that they're on Facebook more than their email. And I always tell people, if you want to get a hold of me, the easiest way to do is just send me a message on Facebook. Now, I get a lot of messages, but nowhere near as many as my email. And Facebook is something...
Well, it's always a person, too.
Right, and it's easy to deal with, you know, in quick downtimes when you're riding in the passenger in the car, boom, you can check Facebook. With email, you know you're going to have to write a long message back, and so one of them, like you said, where they're hanging out.
Another good place,
yeah.
not to get too far, but the next one is we can actually send them a text message.
Yeah, and then we can just pop right up.
Yeah, and that's, if done effectively, this is one of the most...
Let's show them that.
Yeah, this is a great tool, and it works with it's called tropo.com. You can check that out, but it all integrates here with WebinarJam, and all you have to do is put in your different tokens here. It gives you all the documentation on how to do this. It's not complex at all. You just literally go into your account, put this info in, and bam, you're set. So the really cool thing that we can do here is literally 20 minutes before, hey, go find a quiet place. Our webinar is about to begin in 20 minutes. You know, and that's something I know we've used in our marketing with you know, affiliates and things, text messages, and it's always it actually boosts your email open rate because they're going and looking for the email.
Yeah, you have to remember they've already registered, so they've already said I want this information. They've already raised their hand, you know, and they've told you, yes, I want this information. So when you're sending a text message to them, they're not going to be offended by it. It's not like you're just randomly blasting them with a broadcast for something they're not interested in. They're interested in this. They've said they want to attend, and now what we're doing is just giving them a reminder.
Everybody likes a reminder.
Yeah, I mean...
how many things have you been invited to that after the fact you're like, man, I actually really wanted to go to that, but I just wasn't notified, like I forgot about it?
Oh yeah, I mean at the Underground, and then this weekend I was in Vegas speaking at the Change Your Game event. They both had mobile apps that would push notification you with the presenters that were coming on, what was coming up next, and it was really nice to not have to question, where's the speakers dinner? Boom, I got a message through this app. And so the fact that you have the ability to do that, now this is, like you said, this is with an outside service. However, it integrates seamlessly and it will do all the work for you. All you have to do is go in and push send. And I think that beyond that, if you're capturing email, if you're capturing phone numbers and emails, you have the ability later down the road to market to them in a different way other than just email. So you open up your opportunities, and of course you don't have to force that text message. You can simply say, would you like a text reminder? And you'll be surprised at how many people, I would say at least a third would opt in.
Yeah, if I'm interested in a webinar, I want to be reminded, because even when they send emails, I'm like, I'm probably just, I may not get this, you know. So a text message is great. And here's the thing, if done correctly with the email, so if you don't send any emails and you don't follow up, you just send a message, it may be like, what is this? I'm busy. But if you're doing your follow-up emails right and you're actually keeping them engaged, you're going to have a better response with that text message, because they're going to know who you are, because you know how many probably opted in for something, be like, I forgot what this is completely, you know. So all these tools together, the notification system, you're going to see much higher percentages of people showing up to your webinars.
You know, one thing I want to talk a little bit about, and this is your area of expertise, it's something that you've wowed me with. But before we open up and take Q&A here, so again, pop your questions into the chat if you have questions, and we'll, after I have Sean talk about what I want him to talk about here, we'll go right into live Q&A. But this is your social media sharing thing. So we want to get as many people on the webinar as we can. And we don't necessarily want to pay for all the traffic. And of course, if we don't have affiliate partners or JVs, or it's it's an internal, but we want it to spread. Explain to them the ability for them to create the sharing option on that thank you page.
And what's cool about this, I up in a document. This is called, we call it the SMARF model. So it's the social media reaction funnel, something like that.
I can see you now, white little hat, the blue paint on.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're SMARF system.
So that's trademark, so we can't use that. But no, but
copyright trademark.
What this is, and I have a document on this, and basically what we can do is we can give it to the folks who are still on tonight with us. But basically, what you want to do with this is give people the ability and we use Facebook mainly because it is really where 95% of your audience spends a good amount of their time is on Facebook, engaging with their friends. So if you give them the opportunity to engage with you on Facebook, it's actually going to supply you with a couple different things. The first thing it's going to give you is some social proof that you can use. So when somebody likes something, obviously, if you're using a like button, that number increases, and it actually gives you some social proof. So people say, well, 500 people like this. I don't see why I shouldn't like it. And also, what it does is it shares whatever page you set to like. So that's free marketing. I mean, you can literally, let's say you get one person you've paid $1 for to come to your page, and they've opted in, they've gone to the thank you page, and you leave a little note on there, hey, give us a like below, and you have a like button that is set to your registration page. It's not set to your thank you page. You don't really want them liking the thank you page. You want them to like the registration page because that'll share the registration page on their Facebook. And that's a big circle. So we'll put this in a diagram because I think that's an effective way to look at it. But on the thank you page itself, you tell them, say, hey, and if you are excited about this, share your excitement below. You can do it with comments as well, but a like box works too. If you're excited, give us a like. That like translates into a share of the registration page. So their friends are going to see this, come join me for a webinar on their Facebook. So that you can actually do within WebinarJam by generating the like button. It's a little more complex than basically you have to do one more step. You have to go to Facebook and generate the like box. But AJ, you think we can probably put that in a little document, send it to. I think we can do it.
If you've got it.
Yeah, we've got it. So we'll send that out let's do it. Anybody who picks up WebinarJam, because that's what you need it for. So if you pick it up today, and again, this offer, it's not going to be around forever. It's literally a one-time payment, and you're in for good. Like, you've locked in the price, which I wish I would have done that with my cell phone, like back in the day. You could get unlimited data.
I've been with the same cell phone company since I was 18.
Oh, and
I have unlimited
data. Are you grandfathered in?
Grandfathered in.
Oh.
However, there's a little snag. If I go to a hotspot with my phone, it automatically unenrolls me so I'm unable to use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Oh boy!
But I've been with the same company since I was 18, so a long time.
Well, we won't do that to them. They can use hotspots.
So you guys are locked in. We may have monthly membership options down the road. This will go to at least a yearly price, probably more than it is now. Based on the feedback we're getting from our friends and other marketers here.
They think we're crazy.
Really, they think we're crazy.
They think Mike and Andy are crazy. Yeah, we try to talk them out of it, right?
Mike, and we have no intention of letting this software fade away. We are committed to this. We have an entire team that works on this. It's not a product that we're launching and then moving on to the next product. We are Marketing Genesis committed to this. This is part of our brand. It's going to be a part of our brand.
When we use it all the time.
Exactly. It's only going to get better.
We were literally, it's funny, when we did Video Genesis, right, we used this big complex software integration system. It cost us a lot of money to do this type of Hangout before WebinarJam was out. And that's literally, this solved the problem that we were having where we wanted more than 1,000 people. We wanted it seamless integration with Google Hangouts, all this stuff. So we literally went out and solved the problem, and it just so turns out that a lot of people have that same problem. Yeah. But why don't we do this? Why don't we just talk real quick, because we need to do some awesome Q&A.
While you pull that up, just to address a question.
Sure, absolutely.
Someone said if they get the WebinarJam today, they test it out, they don't like it, can they get the money? Absolutely, we money back guarantee, everything. Dave, 30 days is right, yep. Right? 30 days. So you got 30 days to set up your first webinar, to run your first webinar. And guys, here's the thing: even if you set it up and run it, and you have 2 other people on the jam session to test it out, go ahead and do that, because trust me, the biggest thing in marketing is people don't take action. Okay, and this is so simple. I want you guys to understand. You don't have to know much in order to create this. Basically, you go in. You use our templates. You put in some copy, and if you struggle on copy, you can model other successful templates that are out there, other people that are running webinars. You can go to sites like dig.com. You could check out Yahoo News Center. These guys hire the best headline writers, so you can see the formats, and you can take that. Okay, you can create bullets. There's endless resources online how to create powerful benefit bullets. Boom, your squeeze page is up. It's ready to go. You send it out. All you got to do is show up and hold the Hangout. Like, you don't have to have any slides. You don't have to. It's face to camera. Okay, if you want all of that, if you want to set that up, if you want to go the extra mile, which is
or if you don't want to be on camera,
or if you don't want to be on camera, you're not ready to be on camera yet. But I'm telling you, you're gonna have to get used to it. The world is moving to everything video. We're not going to read anything.
You're beautiful
online.
The way you are.
Yeah. So, but if you're not, all you have to do is turn on the camera and chat, and you could just do this with 3 or 4 of your friends to ask them what they think of it, to get comfortable with it. But my advice is to get in there, get it set up, and do one as fast as possible. I mean, you could literally get this today. It's Monday. You could spend tonight setting it up. You could start promoting tomorrow. You could hold a webinar on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Okay, I would hold it Thursday at 11 a.m. is what I would hold it at. That's typically one of the best times to hold it at 11 a.m. in the morning or 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
2. Wait, no, you're right. Sorry. I was doing East Coast, West Coast.
Oh, gotcha. Or 4 or 5. So those 2 times will work out good on both West and East Coast. And essentially, do your first one, and you could have made profit, or at least have tested it and see whether this is something you want to move forward to. It is one of the best promotional strategies you can have in your business. I mean, you're never not going to have a video sales letter and a sales page. You're never not going to do other forms of promotions. But webinars, I know people who have built their entire business. You know people who have built their entire business off of doing daily webinars.
Millions of dollars.
And now we have this live interaction where we can go between, screen capture, live video, web screen, Keynote, PowerPoint. We can go between all these mediums so easily and present. We can have multiple guests on there. We're not limited to a few guests. We don't have to pay for extra guests. We can. I don't. How many? Does the Hangout
you can have 10 on the Hangout.
So 10 people on video.
Yeah.
So
you need more than that. Then. Yeah.
So you could do one of those tele summits here where you have a series of experts coming on, and they could all be on at the same time. You could do an hour with each of them to pre-sell into your tele summits. You could hold a jam session, as we like to call it, using WebinarJam to pre-sell a bigger event.
And here's something too that to go with your plan of like just taking action. Like something really good advice somebody gave to me early on. Like for your first webinar, what you should do if you don't have your own product. If you have your own product, you should start obviously with your own product. But if you don't have your own product, pick a product that you are a big fan of, that you use every day. You love it, like you know it like the back of your hand, and put out a webinar that's free training to show some of the things you're doing with that product, whether it be training or mainly software, right? So you use this software. Like literally half an hour, show some tips or tricks, and say if you want to pick it up, like if you want to use my affiliate link, go to this URL, and you literally could sell someone else's product on your webinar. And you could go and do that tonight and have the product ready by Thursday, you know?
So Ryan asked a great question here. It says, can you do a hybrid webinar with WebinarJam where he comes on live introduction, goes through a pre-recording, and then comes back on at the end to close or to answer questions? And the answer is yes. So because of the ability to be able to switch between your screen and video and webcam and all that, you can literally have a video loaded onto your computer, press play, and it automatically plays the keynote or the recording.
Yeah. So you could basically come on. Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. I'm really excited to share this with you. We've recorded a great set of training here. Let's go ahead and get started. And literally just open the file, switch to the view so it's showing.
And I mean, you don't even necessarily have to tell them that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
You're there. It's live. It's not like it's not live. The video may be recorded, but you've introduced it. The video is recorded. You come back on the close or to answer questions. You've got the chat room there, so you can interact during the whole time. So you can actually focus on that interaction, and you're good to go there. So that was a great question, Ryan. And essentially, again, you could do as short, as long. I mean, it's up to you. Google Hangouts has been. I mean, South by Southwest is coming up. You guys could get to. You can see that they're going to be running live stream non-stop, round the clock for those events. So your ability, their technology is so advanced, and what we've done is just create a marketing platform for the front end so that you can leverage that technology without having to invest, hundreds upon hundreds of dollars every single month to do that. We're talking one payment here for forever. And if you want to see that, you can go to the website, WebinarJam. I think there's a button here on the page. But you're not going to see a better offer for this. And as I said, we're committed to this. We have a whole team on it. You guys are going to see constant updates. Our team is amazing. They've been working on some phenomenal updates to this. They're constantly improving the back end. Every day they're adding things based on the feedback we get in. People have been signing up at a rapid pace. We're doing this for a short period of time. I think what's the clock at? It says we've got 4 days, 8 hours left. So that's not a fake clock there. That's live. So right now there's 4 hours.
4 days.
4 days, 8 hours, 8 minutes, and we're about to go into 7 minutes. So you guys can pick that up at that price. But because we're doing this, we've had an extreme, with a lot of people jumping on board, a lot of happy customers. But of course, there's always questions, right? And so we have an amazing customer support team as well that have been going through that. But what we've been able to do is we've been able to see what the questions people have been asking commonly. There's already the answer there, but clearly we haven't presented it in the right way. So now in the back end, if you've been a user before, and you're going to see things that remind you to make sure you've published the correct pages in order for it to go live, because a lot of the issues we've been seeing, a lot of the feedback we get is oftentimes, unfortunately, it's user error. Yeah. I would probably have the same problems going through it if I hadn't kind of got the inside scoop and been working obviously on it myself. But so we're trying to make it so that you don't have to search for the answers, you don't have to dig into because we have complete video tutorials in there that walk you through everything. Okay, but what we've done is we've taken the comments that have come in from people who couldn't find certain things or had questions or had problems trying to run one, and we're making sure that it is as simple as possible. We don't want you guys to have to think too much when you do this. We want you to focus on the content of your webinar and delivering an amazing experience. That's what we want you guys to focus on, and so we want to take care of all the techie stuff that typically most people spend hours trying to figure out. We've tried to make that as dead simple. We try to make this literally plug and play, and I know you hear that a lot, but that's our goal here, is to make it so you can sign up, and within an hour or less, and I give an hour just because you're going to be going through step by step. But once you've done it once, it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. Yeah. We had Tom Beal on here last week with us, and he did a webinar jam session on Friday, and he said it took him maybe 20 minutes to set the whole thing up from start to finish. A lot of time saved compared to a sales letter or a video sales letter or something like that. And the beautiful thing here is, I'll give you guys a takeaway here. If you're not doing this already, if you have a powerful webinar that converts, we can take that and we can turn it into many other forms of media. So we can break it up into a series of videos. We can have it rewritten into a free book. We can have it written into a sales letter, and so it becomes the base. And so if you haven't started yet, you don't have anything you're selling, you can start here with a webinar. You can sell an affiliate product. You don't have to sell your own product. You can sell someone else's product. That's the beautiful thing online. All you have to do is have something to sell to make money. Webinar is you're going to convert more of that traffic. So you bring them on, you educate them on a certain topic, and at the end you offer a resource. It doesn't have to be your resource. Boom, you're making money. Now what do you say? Okay, that converted. I'm going to go and create my own product in that, and boom, you're in business. You have you're now officially an entrepreneur, and you build that out. And so the webinar is going to let you get to market the quickest, and that's the speed to market is always going to be the quickest. You can test with other people's products and offers, and be up in business in no time.
Well, and to add to that, it's funny. We all do this. I know, AJ, you've done this. I've done this. We always look for excuses not to do something. Like for me, selling something online, a big hindrance to me was actually getting in front of a camera. Like I was like, it's no thanks, not for me, And then once I got over that, it was great. So maybe the technology might be a hindrance for you. Like maybe you don't have a full-blown website with carts and all this stuff. But imagine you sign up for this. You don't need a website. You can literally put your PayPal email to charge for the webinar. If you want to just sell the webinar, you could. Like 10 ways to learn something. We're going to cover this at $7. Like this can be your product, and that is that's a beautiful thing. It cuts out really the need to get started with having a website and all that. You actually have pages already built for you. Like if you're looking for a great way to break into selling things online, this is a great platform for that.
And you mentioned something there that there was a question earlier I saw that I want to address. Was about that, about the platform. Do you need a website? Do they need to download software? Is this hosted on my computer? We host everything. This is cloud hosted. Right? And what that means is there's absolutely nothing for your attendees to download. They simply click a link. It's going to open up. And now they can watch it on their computer, they can watch it on their tablet, they can watch it on their smartphone device. It's just a video. They don't have to download an app or anything. They just simply click the link, just like they would.
Don't have to worry about compatibility.
Exactly. And so because of that, what that means is that they can watch it anywhere for one. So they can be a passenger in the car, they can be in the back seat, they can be in a train, they can be in a limo, they can be in a plane. You know, now we have frickin' Wi-Fi, and we can watch video the minute we get on a plane. We don't have to wait till we take off. You could literally go from sitting in the airport, walk onto the plane, sit on the plane, watch the entire thing unbroken. So you can reach your customers everywhere. What this means is when we talk about people showing up to the webinar, when I've gone to other webinars and I've gone to open up something I've already downloaded, I've already watched other webinars on this, and all of a sudden there's an update, and I have to re-download their software in order to get onto the webinar. Half the time I don't even want to deal with it.
I'm done.
Because here's the thing, when they download the new software, it doesn't delete the old software. Yeah. So now you have a stack of stuff, and you have to go back, and you have to do it. And
you're losing money because you paid for those customers to get there.
So not only is it frustrating for you because you're relying on them, and if it crashes and all of that stuff, it disappears. Mm-hmm. It's also frustrating for your customers and for your prospects because if they have to go to effort to get on that call with you, yes, if they do that, they're going to be a much hotter lead. Mm. However, there is people that if you basically interrupt them, we call it a pattern interrupt, and sometimes we purposely do this, but if we do a pattern interrupt and it's unintentional and it throws them off, and we create a barrier for them to come to us, to learn from us, to get the information they're looking for, there's a good chance that they're going to go somewhere else, or they're not even going to try. And so with WebinarJam, we basically thought, what's the easiest thing to do? Well, if we host it, whenever we update, whenever we do something new, it instantly gets pushed to every member. There's no having to download any new software in order to use it. Okay? Every member, basically, every single member that registers
the same experience.
has the exact same experience on any mobile device, any laptop, computer, tablet. And what does that create? It creates consistency. It creates congruency, and it creates ease. And whenever you can ease that path of least resistance, we're going to make money. We're going to make more money. And essentially, here's the other thing. It's not all about the money. It's about transforming people, and it's about helping more people. Mm-hmm. And when we create barriers, and when we create problems for our prospects, we basically we basically lose the ability to help those people. Okay, and it's really a disservice of us.
Well, it's stressful, It's like they're coming in. It may be a new environment for them. The more bells and things they have to deal with, it causes issues. But why don't we do see how many questions we got in here? Maybe we can anything about the platform. Any questions about what we talked about today with how to follow up? Any specific questions about copying some emails? AJ here is the copy master. I mean, literally, dozens and dozens of emails a day, right?
I'll just go to. I mean, they're coming in pretty fast, so it's jumping around on me. But one of the questions here is, can I use this for multiple computers? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but right now in our studio, and we've shown it several times before, I have right here in front of me the Hangout happening. Dave at the back has it. What you see on the screen is being run through a different Hangout.
So we have four computers.
So we have four computers that are logged in here into the administration side. So the answer is yes. You can, and we're all running through the same internet server. So yes, you can have multiple computers hooked up all at once. So Okay, let me go down. So Tamar must have just joined us at the beginning. I'm AJ.
And I'm Andy Jenkins.
And this is Sean. And we're a part of the team here at Marketing Genesis. Andy is at home recovering from his surgery, and Mike is still under the weather. And we were joking earlier. So Mike moved from New York to here to San Diego.
He can't take the wonderful weather.
He can't take the warm weather. He's
down.
so used to the cold. Complete reverse effect is what we have when we go. And, well, you just got back from
frozen polar vortex.
Were you
territory.
Snowboarding or skiing?
A little bit. It's snowboarding. So, but it was cold.
You know, I went snowboarding one time. Fell down all day long. So I figured, I'm tired of falling down. So I took up the big slope. And I get to the top, and of course on the little slope, when you get to the top, you just get off. Well, on the big slopes, you get to the top, and it's a drop in. So I think to myself, all right, this is my opportunity. Drop in, face plant. They stop the entire lift. Make sure I'm okay. So then I had to go down the big slope. So I literally went down, almost hands on the snow, just bouncing the whole way down. So I am a skier, not a snowboarder.
Feel your pain.
And I'm a water skier, not a wakeboarder. And I'm a stand-up paddleboarder, not a surfer. But so that's who we are. I'm AJ Roberts. This is Sean Vosler, and we're part of the team here at Marketing Genesis. And we make a lot
Pleasure to meet you.
We make a lot of the magic happen. I do most of the. I'm in charge of the marketing side of things and the operations here, and Sean he does a
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Computer. I'd say computer guy, but it really is a disservice. He's more of a research development, online experience would be a good word.
That sounds good.
Yeah, online experience education. So we got most of the team is here tonight with us. Sassy's behind the camera, Dave's over there, making sure that you guys are taken care of. We've got a customer support team in the back answering any questions. And we have QR copywriters in the house getting ready for stuff, as well as we've got an intern. Lots of people here working tonight. So
Mark has a really good question. Mark, he's down a little bit there. He says, there it is. So if we've paid for a webinar, basically what he says is, if someone's paying for a webinar and we do the Hangout, how do you keep it hidden? So this is a cool feature that's built into Google Hangouts that inherently WebinarJam inherits. After the Hangout, like after we do this, it goes to a private saved video on YouTube. So in the account that you've set up with your Gmail, has a YouTube account attached to it, literally right after we end the Hangout, and it starts going to process over at Google. Like your Hangout is ready in about an hour, where before you'd have to export the recording, upload it, wait for it to render all this stuff. It could be 24 hours. But this, you're literally, within a few hours, you're done. The recording is private on YouTube. So literally all you have to do is, if you want to make it live, you could go in, make it, go into your YouTube, make it not private if you wanted to make it public, obviously. Or you can just take that link, and anybody that has the link can see it, but it's not searchable. They have to have that link to see it. So that's just I thought that was a good question, because that is something like, where does it go afterwards? It's on YouTube, so you don't have to worry about it.
And if you don't want to share it, YouTube has the ability, you can set the videos to private and unlisted. And
I think there's a secret or something where it's not even, like, only you can see it if you're logged in.
Private is only if they have if
the
you
link.
Specifically shared it with their email address. So if this is for members, you could send the replay to just members. As long as you'd have to upload the email list. Okay. And then you have unlisted, which is anyone that has the link. Okay, so yes, people could share that, but it allows you to embed it, but it doesn't show up in any of the search engines. It won't show up on your video replays, so if they're scouring your page for that, it's not going to show up. And then, of course, you have public. So you have the ability. You also can delete it. So if you don't want to share it whatsoever, you can download the MP4, and then you can delete it. Okay, so you have those options. I'm not sure if we got the answer to this. I don't do the video stuff, but I believe you can set your to automatically be a certain way for any video you upload.
By default, it's private, though.
I think by default you can set it, and then that way the recording, and you would have to go in and activate it. So you have the ability to charge and not charge.
Tomorrow, real quick, I don't know why I have such good vision that I can read these questions.
Because you switch the
glasses.
I
took the glasses
off. We got some feedback. They wanted the glasses off. Sean did the transformation.
I like the glasses.
Superman here now is a completely different. He took them off. It's like 3 different presenters here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
But she asked, Tamar, this is an eloquent question. Why not just use Google Hangouts? And if you go to WebinarJam.com, there's a great comparison chart.
Let's just scroll down.
Yeah, let's scroll down. And there's a good reason, because Hangouts is not built for.
Well, there's Andy
marketing.
and Mike, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Welcome, welcome, Andy.
Those two pretty fellas.
Yeah. So we won't go through all these, but you'll see here, Hangouts, you basically don't have the ability to do any of this stuff that's really important for marketing. So WebinarJam is really a platform for marketing the webinar. Google Hangouts is the best platform for presenting video. So when you combine the two,
just so people can see it while you talk.
That's probably, oh, there we go.
Scroll up a little bit. So
yeah, and that it's scary.
So right there, you can see all the things. And the best thing is just go to WebinarJam.com, click that button that's on this page, and you can see this. This is on that page. But essentially, it breaks down the differences between WebinarJam, GoToWebinar, and then Google Hangouts. And see, this is what makes WebinarJam so powerful. Is we've leveraged Google Hangout technology, which is by far superior to anything else. All right. We've leveraged that, and we've given you the marketing machine in order to be able to promote, interact, connect with the customer. So you're getting essentially the best of both worlds, plus we've kind of 10x'd it in terms of its power. Now, John was asking here about the quality issues that some people have. Of course, the biggest thing that we found is obviously your internet speed is a factor. Okay, so you need to make sure you have the highest quality internet speed if you're worried about the quality here. But remember, I mean, you've got guys making 7 figures just shooting video cameras with their phone and uploading them. So quality, although we believe we're all about the highest quality here, we like to take things up, and we think that that's what separates us at Marketing Genesis from a lot of other companies. The truth is that the message is as long as the message gets out, it doesn't really matter what quality you're at.
Well, and check this out. This is something I just learned today. I thought was pretty cool. Literally, though, sometimes you may see the quality kind of fade in and out to deal with it's your audience's connection really that makes the difference. But it records everything in HD. So regardless of what maybe you're seeing right now on your screen, the replay always, if you have an HD camera, is going to be in HD, and that's done through YouTube. So that's
so your quality matters, your audience's quality matters, what their download speed is. Of course, if they have other browser windows open, so you want to make sure when you're doing your Hangout that you have absolutely no other browsers open unless you're communicating. Like I have this and Skype open because Dave is funneling questions over as they're moving so fast in here. And then, of course, the quality of your camera. Now, the only restriction you have, I believe, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, is that right now Google broadcasts live in 720. Okay, so 1080 is obviously the highest right now. 720 is the step below. It broadcasts in 720. That being said, you have to remember
Netflix does 720 too.
Right.
I don't know if you know that, but you don't get 1080p on Netflix.
Exactly.
You can watch House of Cards and it looks great. So
that's a great show. Everyone's season 2. If you're not watching it,
maybe we'll throw that up on the Boss Vision after.
So so basically, the point with the quality issue is we're going to get 720, but like Sean says, it records in HD. You can pump it out in HD. But here's the thing, guys. You got to remember who we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the #1 search engine in the world, and that's Google.
And the #2.
And we're dealing with the #2, which is YouTube. And obviously, it's the same company there, but they're the biggest user provider in the world in terms of database and customers and volume of people. So what they're doing is they're optimizing this here. They're basically giving you the best solution that they've currently come up with in order to, remember, our listeners have a download speed. They found that 720 gets through to the majority correct speed. If we broadcasted in 1080 and they had to go variants and they had to figure that out, essentially
they're going to lose part of the message.
They would lose part of the message. Yeah. So what they've done is they figured out the best way right now to provide live Hangouts, and of course for us, live jam sessions. No.
And trust me, on your you don't want 1080p. You look just crazy. No.
Yeah, we would have to be
way too HD.
We'd have to bring Grace in here and makeup, and we'd have to spend a few hours getting ready for it.
That's just me and my beauty mark tonight.
I know. So that's the question with the quality. Now, the important thing to remember, excuse me, I just refresh here to see the questions. The important thing to remember with the quality issues is because we are using Google Hangout, we are restricted to what they give us. Okay, we can't bypass that with the WebinarJam because we're tapped into them and we're integrated with them. So there's a lag time issue. So right now, the reason the question may come in and then you may hear it maybe 45 seconds to a minute after is because that's the lag time with Google right now. And so the thing you just have to remember is there is a slight delay. So if you're asking questions like we are, it's about waiting for that delay and not expecting immediate
So let's talk about
responses.
Let's talk about a couple features too that I think real quick we can discuss that weren't necessarily in the back-end demo but are really cool features. Like the first one here I think is really neat, creating polls on the fly. Like you can actually put up a question and have them answer. You can do custom surveys. You can push real-time offers. So basically, on the actual page that you're on now, we could push a call to action, and then you can actually do a mass redirect. So at the end of this, we could send you all to a hilarious YouTube video if we really wanted to. And I don't think Dave will let us do that, but we could do that. But more likely, you'd want to send them to an offer. So all that stuff, I mean, it's built right in. We got social media integration built right in, obviously. But I actually recommend checking out, take a look at these features because sometimes it's just knowing exactly what you can do gives you ideas of things.
Yeah, and a couple of people have asked about the like us going through and doing a live demo. Sean and Donna did that on Friday, and we also have a video on the website that walks you through that entire process. So if you want to see that, you can go to the website.
Yeah, there's a full demo, see it in action.
See it in action, and that dives in, and you'll get to see pages. Because I think
it's about an hour.
Right.
So it's a good demo.
Yeah, and if you don't have an hour, here's a little trick for you. Download the app Eannounce. Okay, it costs you like $20. Download Eannounce. You're gonna have to open the Firefox browser. Eannounce doesn't seem to work with Google. So they've got some other. I think it's because HTML5's in their browser versus. Anyway, so you're gonna open in Firefox. Watch this in Firefox with Eannounce. You can watch up to 3x speed. Okay, so
boost the speed.
If you can handle the chipmunk, you can go 3x, but 2x typically goes fine. So you can load that video up. You can watch it. It'll take you maybe half an hour. And it'll walk you through the entire process, everything there. If you miss Fridays, because we want to get to some more questions today, and we want to make sure that you guys aren't left hanging. So instead of covering what's already there, you guys can go watch that video if you're not sure. The other thing, guys, seriously, jump in here, $297, one time, that's it. You got 30 days to test it out. Jump in, get the software, go through it. Okay, you're going to find it's literally step by step by step, and as long as you follow every step and you don't try to jump ahead. I don't know about you, but whenever I buy something, like we got I bought all those new desks for everyone here. Me and Dave went to IKEA.
This is much easier than IKEA.
Yeah, so I try to set up the first desk on my own without looking at the instructions, and of course you always go back to the instructions. But if I just followed that step by step, I would have got done in half the time. But my stubbornness and bullheadedness, I seem to always try to do it without that manual. But everything is in here. It'll walk you through step by step. You can see it behind us. If Sassy, switch over the screen for us, you can see here. There's video help in here. There's video help in here, which you can watch the video. It shows you the links are clear. Look, you just walk through. Here's how to configure it. The general walks you through step by step. It's so simple, guys. I mean, really, it's not going to take you much to test this out. Okay, so go ahead, test it out, and of course, if you don't like it, you can refund it. But we're pretty sure you will. I mean, we're blown away by this, and we're proud to stand behind it here and share it with you guys.
Here's the funny thing, like literally, I will tell you, I've set up dozens and dozens of webinars. Like it was my job. My first job was setting up recording webinars. Literally, if I was still in that job, I would be out of a job because you don't need to record it. It automatically records. setup is literally like, if you can fill out forms, you will be able to manage this. I promise. I bet you could even like hire your grandmother to fill this out, and she could manage it. Yeah. Like, it's so easy, but it doesn't mean it's not powerful, and that's what's really cool to me. Like, we're using this right now. We're a 7-figure business, but we're using a technology that's really easy to use, and that is something that you're not going to find in a lot of enterprise solutions.
We always say we want to be as fast to market as possible, off-the-shelf solutions. So anytime that we can use something that makes our life easy, we go for it. You know, I remember having my first website built, having to spend over $25,000 to get a 3-page website set up. That was when I decided I need to learn this stuff myself. Okay.
Or hire me.
Right.
You know?
Well, no. This was before there was no such thing as WordPress.
Right.
Then WordPress comes along, and now all of a sudden websites, you know, if you pay more than $5,000 to $10,000, and typically when you pay that much, it's for the design.
It's for the marketing
it's
too.
It's for the design. It's for the system, the funnel. I mean, the most I've seen right now is about $15,000, and that's set your entire business up, back end, funnels, everything. So we've gone from that to down so simple now. It doesn't make sense for us to try to reinvent the wheel. And so what we've done is we didn't try to create a webinar platform that would, you know, do the video or do that. We tapped into the most powerful platform on the earth and gave you the most powerful marketing platform to combine with it. So boom, now we've got one of the strongest, most powerful systems that you can have in your business, and you don't have to think. You just boom, type it in and go.
And just to demonstrate the power a little bit of YouTube, which is what Google Hangouts is built on top, how many hours per minute do you think is uploaded to YouTube? Because it's changed, but how many hours do you think is uploaded every single minute of every single day? It's
got to be like 7 million hours.
Per minute, though. No, literally. Like for every minute, like we've been in this 77 minutes, every minute 72 hours worth of video has been updated. That's a lot of hours. And every hour is gigabyte or so of, you know, video, or probably more. Sassy would know. But think about that. That they have to build for scale. That means that you're not relying on our server for the video. All you're relying on us is for hosting the pages. So that is a beautiful thing. GoToWebinar, that's why they max out it as 1,000. It's because they would crash if they had too many people on the webinar.
Frank here has a great question. He's asking about the control of WebinarJam. So as an administrator, can you pass off the controls? And the answer is absolutely. So you know, you can switch between presenters. You can switch between who's got the controls. You basically have your administration will have a specific link, and that's what they use to log in. It's different than the link your listeners are going to come to. Okay, so
yeah, and that's sent out to you right from the setup, so that goes out to all the people.
The other cool thing with this is if you're running, if you have a producer, you can give them the link. Now, if you're running webinars for people, so you're their producer, or you're customizing webinars and you're doing a done-for-you service, you can plug this in and instantly use it in your business to run their webinars, to promote them, to record, to do all of that stuff. You can use WebinarJam, and you can use that for your customers. You can give them an administration link, so you're on, they're on, they come on, and you know, you're using this in your business that basically is doing done for you, or at least walking them through the process here. And they don't, you know, you can do this with multiple people. Obviously, we don't have a agent license where you're going to have you know, different accounts for everyone. You'd have your account, and then you would create out of that, or you just simply get one of these for each one of your clients. So that's
which we recommend, of course.
So that's the beauty here. Is there's the flexibility. We have that. Doug asked again about the pros and cons between a self-hosted versus the cloud-based like we had. The biggest con I can think of with the con for the self-hosted is anytime there's software updates, people are having to download new software and causes issues, and they don't get on the call, and essentially they're scrambling a minute before. And obviously, if you have a lot of people attending, there's a good chance they get locked out. And obviously, with the cloud-based instant pushes, everyone gets updated without having to do anything because it's across the entire platform immediately. I can't really think of any cons for a cloud-based platform except for if the server crashed.
And it's funny, we've recently invested in, it's basically a zero downtime solution. So basically if one person's pushing a lot of traffic to WebinarJam, there's load balancers all across the United States, and basically it just spreads it all out. So that's a beautiful bit of technology that is pretty recent from at least from my understanding. That so it literally is the solution is spread out across multiple servers.
Okay. Just looking for another question here. They're coming in backwards compared to what they were earlier, and now they're jumping around. Oh, so let's go to webinarjam.com. We've got a question here about where the demo video is, because right now the page is a little different. So if you go to webinarjam.com, right now what you'll see, go to the very top for me. So right now when you come on, you're going to see this variation. I think, are you split testing right now?
Yeah, so you'll see this. This is
so you'll see one of two versions here at the top of Mike's video. This is a special video that Mike has done for the launch here, so this is only going to be up for a limited time. It explains the special offer. Right underneath that, it goes into the regular sales page. You'll see a video here, and it has a tab at the top, and it says "See it in action." You're going to want to click that link. When you click that link, it's going to open up that video, and you can watch that entire video right there. You can open it up full screen in your browser, and it will walk you through the entire system, okay? And that's Andy and Mike walking you through. So that's how you do it. WebinarJam, scroll down, you'll see it in action, and go there. So another question here is the social media integration, Sean. Is where would they find that? How do they set that up?
So there's a couple ways. Mainly it's on the registration page. You can see it may be blurry it's kind of blurry on our screen. So on the registration page itself, it'll actually give them the ability to like and share and tweet and all that good stuff. So that's built right in on the registration page. And what I was talking about earlier with some of the Facebook likes on the thank you page, that's a little more custom setup, but we'll go ahead and put something together for the folks who purchased today on how to set up that. So on the thank you page, they can actually like the registration page, which is pretty cool. But basically, it's already turned on by default, the tweets and the likes right on the registration pages. So you're good to go from the start.
Pretty great. This is a long question here from Billy. Give me a sec. I have my trade organization that I speak to regularly, 400,000 member emails, addresses in the UK and the US based on trade magazines I write for. They want me to host a weekly webinar based on my columns, presentations, and consulting, and have said they will offer their email list to assist me in advertising. What is the best way to use WebinarJam to effectively market this at a premium and freemium webinar?
I like this guy. That's a good question, because that really comes down to the strategies. I mean, we talked about the strategy, obviously, of getting them to attend. I mean, if you're sending an email out to 400,000 people to join you on a webinar, to effectively monetize it, right? There's usually, it's either you pay to get into the webinar, and then it's all content, or it's free to get in, and then what would you say the best structure? I mean, just off your experience, and I'll share, kind of what I've experienced is, with the structure of the webinar itself, you're mainly, it's a couple different blocks, but you've got your introduction, telling them who you are, what they can expect from the webinar introduction. You've got your main bulk of content, 30 to 40 minutes, right? And then literally you can just take 10 minutes, tell them about a premium solution. So if this is for your trade show, maybe you're selling them a membership to something, maybe you're selling them some software, or something like that, and you just tell them the benefits. Listen, here's what you're going to get. Tell them the benefits of joining, why they should join now, and the importance. And then literally, like, all you have to do, you can just go into Q&A if you want. And that's basically the structure we've done tonight. And that's that's on a free webinar where you're offering the option of a paid solution.
Yeah, and with a list that big, it may be worth thinking about doing a paid webinar up front for a very nominal fee, just to separate the list into people are on that list who are freebie hunters, and then people are on that list who are willing to invest in training information. The other benefit of that is, of course, you can deliver some of your best information that always is going to lead a higher response in terms of people wanting to continue with you. So I would consider a very low, maybe even just $1 or $7, or you could even do $10, donate the whole thing to charity. You know, it doesn't have to be to line your pockets. What we're really trying to do is just get people to raise their hand. There's a very different attitude from someone who will invest even just a little bit versus someone who's not willing to invest. And when you're going after a list that big, if they blast that out and you get all these registrations and then you get all these people show up, you'll probably still get the same amount of people come through than if you would charge on the front end with a list like this, and this, especially if you can get endorsed mailing. Okay, so we use JV, we use affiliate. This isn't going to be an endorsed mailing. If they're going to mail for you and they're willing to do that and they're willing to position you as the expert, we call this hot traffic. Right? We just recently released our hot traffic report. We call this hot traffic, and what that means is that they're already warmed up to you, so they're already kind of pre-sold already. And so your opt-in rates, your conversions, they're going to be a lot higher on the front end, okay, because these people are being told that they can like you, they can trust you, and that you're the person who can help them. They're already being pre-sold. So when you have that and you have that hot traffic coming in, it's not done from a paid advertising, it's done what we call warm traffic. Someone is sending you that, claiming that you're the expert. It's not a bad idea to monetize on the front end, just to get them to raise their hand and say they're serious about it. Now, of course, if you want to build your own list and you're just focused about quantity, not necessarily quality, which my preference is always quality over quantity, but there is other things you can do with that list in terms of remarketing and marketing other products later on. So if your goal is quantity, then you would do a free. So those would be obviously those are the two options, but that's how I would approach it, and Sean shared his. So
yeah, and it's interesting. There is really no better per visitor action that's going to take online for sales as you're going to get on a webinar. We see conversion rates anywhere from 15 to 30%. And on a sales page, you're just not going to see that. The best we've ever been able to do is about 18% on a sales page, and that's astronomical. That's with the best kind of traffic. But if you can get 100 people on a webinar, and you follow, some basic strategies, just communicating face-to-face like this, you're going to see higher conversions on your per visitor overall than any other way online.
So Phil asked a great question, and I actually don't know what Uber Conference is. Maybe you do, Sean. But the question is basically, can a presenter come in using something else other than their computer? The presenter has to come in through Google Hangout. So it's a Google Hangout link that they call the WebinarJam is linked to Google Hangouts. It creates a link that brings you in. WebinarJam has its own little application in there. If you've done a Hangout before, you'll know that they have little applications. You got stuff where you can put hats on and glasses and stuff like that. WebinarJam has its own application that opens up the chat room and everything like that. So if you have a presenter coming in, they're going to get an administrator. They're going to get a presenter's link to come in. Okay, and so they're going to have to come in through Google Hangouts. Now, if this Uber presentation allows them to do that, then yes, they could technically come in through that. I've no experience with that, so that would be something you would have to test. But ultimately, what I would say is they're going to have to come in through a browser. So it doesn't have to be a computer. They could come in on a tablet, but it has to be through a browser. So they're going to have to access through a browser.
Well, and just to comment on that a little bit, if it's a computer-based system like Skype, for instance, I mean, it's not going to be as good as connecting directly with a Hangout, but you could show the screen, share the computer audio, and then whatever is on your screen is going to display. So if it's a video of somebody talking, your audience is going to see whatever's on your screen. So how are we doing on?
Suzanne said the Uber Conference is a Hangout plugin.
Oh, okay, yeah. There you go.
So here's the deal. We're going to wrap it up. We're finished on this. That's the thing. There's going to be a lot of plugins and apps and stuff that come along that work with Google Hangout. This is the most powerful marketing platform you can have for your business. Like I said, this is made by two of the greatest marketers on the planet, Andy Jenkins and Mike Filsaime. All right. And these guys have put together what they believe one of the best webinar platforms you're ever going to find, and they're dedicated and committed to making it better continuously. So there's features that people have suggested, like maybe Facebook comments and other fun stuff, integration with other sites like lead pages. This stuff is coming, guys. We have a laundry list of features we want to add over the next 12 months. And you guys, when you invest today, it's one payment, one time only, $297, All right, and that's all you're going to ever have to pay. You'll get all of those updates. All of the things we add in, you guys are going to get. It's part of the package here. We're doing this a one-time deal. 4 days and 7 hours. I wouldn't wait. I would get on this now, okay? But once this is over, it's over. It's going to go to a yearly, if not monthly fee, all right? And we'll have versions of this that we'll probably sell at different price points for new people who are coming in. But for you guys today, you're going to get the very best deal ever, $297. And we're doing this as a thank you. You can watch the video. Mike goes into detail specifically what's going on here. And invest today. You've got 30 days to check it out, full money back guarantee. Go through, test it. If you're using these other apps, test it with those apps, see if it works. Find this stuff out for yourself, guys. It won't take a few minutes. Like I said, the platform is so simple. If Sean can go through and do it, and I can go through and do it, and the rest of our team here can go through and do it, then you guys can do it too. We believe in you guys. We know you can do this. And seriously, I mentioned this earlier. Webinars are one of the most powerful things you can add into your business. One of the most powerful promotional tools. One of the most powerful content delivery tools that you can have. You're going to see Mike and Andy going to be bumping out a lot more of these. We're moving towards hopefully a weekly jam session at least, if not more. And you guys are going to get first access to all of that. So not only are we, providing this as a software, we're using this ourselves. And we plan to use this on ourselves regularly. You're going to see most of the industry switching over to this. Trust me, when you've got a one-time payment, never pay anything again of $297 versus a monthly payment of $500+ depending on how many presenters you're having on and that. Dude, this is a no-brainer. This is an absolute no-brainer. I'm telling you guys, jump on this today. You won't be sorry. We're here to support you, and we know that you're going to do good in this. So, Sean, any last words?
Yeah, I mean, the point you brought up earlier about action being the quintessential separator of people who get things done and people who don't. I mean, I've seen that, and we've both seen that in our careers where maybe there was some hesitation with taking action on something would help your business. And I think everyone on this call has something in common, that you're on this call because you're interested in what this technology can do for your business. And if you're hesitant, totally understand. It's always a tough decision to make, but once you've seen it in action, we set it up today, literally 10 minutes, we filled out some things. It's not difficult. Anybody can do it. So if that's your hurdle, don't worry about that. You got the technology part taken care of, right? So the next hurdle is basically deciding how this is going to help your business. We've talked about some of the strategies, but literally, if you can get people on this system, which anybody who has access to Facebook, or even if you have 20 people on your email list, you have the ability to present an offer quicker and easier than ever before with this technology. And it's a turnkey solution. It's a platform, easy to set up. So if you're having any hesitations, I recommend picking it up. I mean, we got the 30-day guarantee, but we'll stay on chat a little bit after the call if you got any more really specific questions. But just honestly, don't worry too much about the really specific details. We've got you taken care of in the back end. We've got wonderful support. We just upgraded our support. We just really put some great people in charge. So we're always here for you. But that's about all I got, man. I'm really excited.
Well, that sums it up. And guys, check out the website. Look at all the features and benefits. Watch the video, all right? And I'm telling you, this is going to change your business. Click that link. $297 one-time payment. It's all you'll pay, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks.